Have you ever looked at someone like Warren Buffett, I mean, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, and just wondered, what's the real secret? How did he build that incredible fortune?
Yeah, you picture maybe complex algorithms or high-speed trading,
Mm,
maybe risky tech bets.
right, flashy stuff.
But here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of his most, well, profound money rules, they're not cutting edge at all.
Hmm.
They're actually strikingly similar to the simple, sort of timeless truths your grandmother probably knew and lived by.
It's that enduring wisdom, isn't it, over fleeting trends?
Exactly. It holds up.
So, okay, for this deep dive, that's our mission. We're going to unpack 15 of these core Warren Buffett money rules.
And we'll explore how they really echo that grounded wisdom of our grandmothers.
Yeah, we want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to being well-informed about these practical, lasting financial insights.
Showing that, financial genius often comes from really humble, time-tested roots.
Couldn't agree more. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with the foundation, the bedrock, really, frugality and discipline.
Right, and the very first rule we see Buffett living by is, well, it sounds almost too basic. Spend less than you earn.
Seems obvious, but
But he actually does it. I mean, he still lives in the same pretty modest house he bought way back in 1958.
still there.
Yeah,
That's commitment you just don't see, especially at that level of wealth.
it really is.
And it's more than just saving, isn't it? It's like a whole philosophy. Our grandmothers, maybe out of necessity sometimes, they just got this.
Totally. Reusing bags, not wasting food.
Right. Reusing everything, never wasting a crumb. And the genius there for both Buffett and our grandmas is making that frugality just part of life, automatic.
Not just a tactic.
Exactly. It becomes who you are.
Yeah.
And that creates this huge gap between what comes in and what goes out. That's the real engine for, building wealth over time.
And that leads right into the next one, really. Waste nothing. Buffett's famous for being modest, right? Humble
Yeah.
cars, no big flashy spending.
hmm Despite the billions, it's a conscious choice, not being about the show.
Yeah.
And that speaks to a kind of deeper wisdom, I think. Grandmothers practice this constantly. Mending clothes, using every scrap of food.
Turning leftovers into a whole new meal.
Yes. They knew resourcefulness wasn't about being deprived. It was about valuing what you have, making it last.
For Buffett, it seems like it's about putting every dollar where it works hardest, not just, spending it.
Precisely. Not squandering it on consumption that doesn't add real long-term value.
Okay, so he's got billions, still drives a modest car, which brings us to avoid lifestyle inflation.
Ah, yes. The creep, that urge we all feel, right? Earn more, spend more. Why is that specific trap so dangerous?
Well, it's a silent wealth killer, really. Your income goes up, maybe a little, maybe a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately there's this pressure. Could be internal, could be external. You deserve the bigger house, the fancier car.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Right. And Grandma probably warned about it, didn't she? More money doesn't mean you need more stuff. Definitely heard variations of that.
Buffett shows us true wealth isn't about showing it off. It's about keeping that spending discipline, even as your wealth grows. Keep the gap wide
So your money keeps working for you.
instead of just feeding bigger expenses.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, let's round out this section on discipline. The idea of living simply. Buffett joked his life couldn't be happier if I had 6 homes. He finds joy in simple stuff: family, books, a good meal.
it really makes you question what actually drives happiness, doesn't it?
It does.
Our grandmothers, they often found real joy in the everyday. Their lives weren't always about getting more stuff.
More about connection, purpose.
Yes, and resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And that simplicity, well, it leads to more freedom, doesn't it? Freedom from debt, freedom from always chasing the next thing.
Freedom from that pressure to keep up.
Exactly.
Mm.
Happiness doesn't just scale up automatically with dollars.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From that proactive discipline to more strategic preparedness, avoiding the big pitfalls.
And maybe the biggest pitfall Buffett warns about is debt. Rule 2, avoid debt like the plague.
He doesn't mince words. He said, if you're smart, you're going to make a lot of money without borrowing. And credit card debt, he calls it toxic.
He's incredibly clear on that. Some people talk about good debt, but Buffett's stance, especially on high-interest consumer debt, is just avoid it, period.
And that sounds exactly like Grandma's advice.
Totally. Don't buy what you can't afford.
Yeah.
Or even more direct, if you can't pay cash, you can't afford it.
Yep. Heard that one too.
The core idea is simple. Debt holds you back. It's a constant drain, stopping you from actually building wealth.
Right.
You're just sending your future earnings to someone else.
Right. Okay. And part of being prepared is planning for rainy days, keep cash for emergencies. Buffett keeps a lot of cash on hand, especially for market downturns. Is this just a standard emergency fund or something else?
That's a really good question. It's a key distinction. Grandmothers, yeah, they kept emergency stash, maybe literally in a coffee can, right? For unexpected bills, repairs.
Life happens.
Exactly.
Mm.
But Buffett's cash, it's often more than just that. He calls it dry powder.
Dry powder.
Yeah, it's opportunistic capital.
Mm-hmm.
Money he deliberately holds back so he can jump in when the market gets scared. When everyone else is panicking, he can buy great assets cheap.
So it's preparedness, yes, but also strategy. Ready to pounce.
Precisely. Leveraging fear and seizing those rare opportunities.
Got it. Okay, now let's get into the heart of his investing philosophy. Wisdom and patience. A huge one is invest in what you understand.
Oh, absolutely fundamental for him.
He has this strict rule, right?
Right.
Only businesses he really gets. That's why he skipped the dot-com bubble, skipped crypto. They were outside his circle of competence.
That circle of competence idea is so powerful. It means you need to know the business inside and out. Its economics, its advantages, its management.
Not just the stock ticker.
Right. He won't invest if he can't explain why it's a good business.
Yeah.
And our grandmothers did this too, in their own way. They invested in things they trusted, their home, maybe stocking the pantry, maybe helping family.
Things they understood.
Exactly. Their practical advice was basically, don't put your money in things you don't get. It's about lowering risk because you actually know where the money's going, not just chasing hype.
That understanding really feeds into the next principle then. Be patient. Patience pays off. Buffett's famous quote. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. And he talks about holding investments, ideally, forever.
Yeah, his preferred holding period is forever, which takes incredible psychological discipline, especially today with everything moving so fast.
Constant news, market swings.
Right. Buffett sees most market volatility as just noise. It's not a signal to buy or sell frantically. His patience comes from deep confidence in the actual businesses he owns. He lets compounding do its magic over decades.
Kind of like how grandma saved up for months, maybe years, for something big.
Exactly. Or planting trees she wouldn't sit under. It's long-term thinking, building wealth like Buffett does it. It's a slow cooker, not
Yeah.
a microwave.
Right.
Resisting those short-term urges.
Slow cooker, not a microwave. I like that. Okay, next. Buy quality, not quantity, at a fair price. He focuses on great businesses at reasonable prices, not just grabbing anything that looks cheap.
Classic value investing, yeah. But with a focus on quality. It's like how our grandmothers might buy one really good coat that lasts for years.
Instead of 3 cheap ones that fall apart.
Precisely. Buy nice or buy twice. That was the wisdom.
Yeah.
Cheap stuff often ends up costing you more in the long run, right? Either replacing it or just getting poor performance.
Makes sense.
For Buffett, it means looking for businesses with durable competitive advantages, what he calls a moat, something that protects them long term.
Got it. Quality and a fair price. And that ties into think long term, don't time the market. Buffett says it's time in the market, not timing the market. He builds for decades.
Yeah, and that's such a vital counterpoint to all the noise, all the predictions you hear constantly. Trying to guess the market's next move, it usually leads to emotional, often losing decisions.
Buying high, selling low.
The classic mistake. Grandmothers often had that practical long view too, right? Stop waiting for the perfect moment, just start. They built for tomorrow. They understood consistent action beats frantic speculation.
So just get started and stay invested.
Let compounding do the heavy lifting over the long haul. That's the essence of it.
Okay, let's shift again. Mindset and personal values, these seem just as important. First one here, save Parle here. Automatically. Buffett just keeps reinvesting his profits. It's automatic, habitual.
That systematic approach is incredibly powerful. Why? Because it takes the friction, the emotion out of saving.
You don't have to think about it each time.
Exactly. Our grandmothers often had systems too, right? Maybe labeled envelopes for rent, food, savings.
Oh yeah, the envelope system.
By making saving automatic reinvesting dividends, payroll deductions, whatever you pay yourself first, it forces you to live on the rest. Saving becomes the default, not something you try to do if there's money left over.
An invisible discipline.
Builds capital consistently, almost without you noticing.
And speaking of discipline, Buffett is legendary for his learning habit. Learn continuously. He reads for, 5-6 hours a day?
Astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just dedicated reading and thinking time.
Yeah. What's he reading? Not just stock reports, surely.
No, no. History, psychology, biographies, annual reports, newspapers, anything that helps him build a clearer picture of the world of how businesses work, how people behave
Expanding his understanding.
continuously. And our grandmothers, they were learners too in their own way. Recipes, community news, practical skills, they gathered knowledge constantly, made them incredibly resourceful.
A curious mind leads to smarter choices.
Financial and otherwise, absolutely.
Okay, then there's the sheer guts of don't follow the crowd. Buffett's famous advice, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
That takes immense conviction, especially now with social media trends hitting instantly.
The pressure to conform is huge.
Buffett understands that what everyone believes, the consensus view, is often wrong, or at least already priced into the market. Thinking independently is key.
Like grandma not caring about keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. She operated based on her own budget, her own values, not what the neighbors were doing. Her wisdom was simple. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't mean it's smart.
Develop your own judgment.
Based on facts and principles, not hype or panic.
Okay, a really profound one next. Goes beyond just making money. Generously give back. Buffett's pledges are massive, planning to give away like 99% of his wealth.
It really challenges what wealth is for, doesn't it? For him, it seems like a tool, an instrument for impact, not just an end goal.
Legacy.
Right. And giving generously isn't just about charity balls. It's about making a difference, reflecting your values. Our grandmothers, often with much less money, were incredibly generous too.
With their time, their recipes, their help.
Their love, their skills, exactly. They taught us abundance isn't just about dollars. It's community, connection, contributing. Wealth, used well, can amplify your deepest values.
That's a great perspective. Wealth multiplied through giving.
Well put.
And finally, rule number 15, trust yourself. Buffett seems unshaken by media noise, market dips, what others are saying. He trusts his own work, his own conviction.
And that connects right back to our grandmother's self-reliance, doesn't it?
Yeah, trusting their gut, their budget, their common sense.
In a world just drowning in information and opinions, Buffett shows the power of doing your homework, forming your own informed judgment, and then sticking with it.
Especially when things get noisy or scary.
Yes, and it's a powerful message for you, the listener. You probably know more than you think. Cultivate that understanding. Believe in your judgment. Stay true to your principles.
So there we have it, 15 rules. Warren Buffett may be the greatest investor ever.
And his genius isn't some secret formula. It's rooted in these simple, timeless, really effective principles. The same kind of wisdom our grandmothers lived by.
His genius is in the execution, isn't it? The consistency. Doing it day in, day out for decades.
Absolutely. That's the hard part.
So thinking about all these principles, what stands out most to you? What's the strongest link you see between Buffett's success and maybe your own grandmother's wisdom?
And maybe more importantly, how could embracing just one of these seemingly simple but actually quite challenging rules today, how could that start to change your own financial future? Something to think about.